Oh, wait. Turn your light on. Yo, yo, yo. Oh. Wait, yo. Ooh, yeah, they are working. My bad. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place, but hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to YingYang Sports. I am Justin Satawa, and I am here with obviously not Joel. It is Caleb. Caleb, plug yourself. Tell everyone who you are. It is a pleasure for you to be here.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Caleb. I just started interning for the heavyweights, 5 to 7.
Shout out. Easy
yeah,
and
shout out.
Easy and Spendable Racks, the boys, as long as Nick and Chris.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. This is sweet.
Hey,
yeah, great way to start the week right here.
It is a blessing to have you on, and I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic. The Oilers showed a little life last night. I just want to talk about this real quick. I just want to touch on it. I know you're not a big hockey guy. Mm-hmm. Have you watched any of the Stanley Cup final at all?
I watched the last game.
Oh, yeah, you did?
Game 4.
Yeah,
a little bit at the bar. So
the Oilers just thromping.
Yeah.
The Panthers, which has been a complete what's it called? What's it called when you're not? I'm forgetting the word.
It's Monday. The brain will come back in the middle of the week.
Fugazi. It's Fugazi. It's Fugazi. It's a Whoosy. It's a Wuzzy. Just an absolute off-the-board game because Panthers have been dominating this series. 8 goals in a playoff game. That is wild. That is absolutely wild. It kind of hurts my soul because I want Bobrovsky to pop off and win the Conn Smythe for the Panthers. But that might not be happening. That's a tough 8-goal one to pull out of. But your thoughts? I mean, have you watched Connor McDavid play a lot? Because he is tantalizing as hell.
I have a little bit. I know how good he is. And kind of with this series, and to kind of tie it in with the NBA a little bit, does this almost feel like a... because Dallas obviously blew out Boston in Game 4, and then Edmonton comes out, beats up on Florida in Game 4. Does this feel like... do those 2 wins by those teams almost feel like kind of, not fraudulent, but can't really think of the word. Do you think both series are going to end in a gentleman's sweep?
I do. I want the Mavs to do well. I want them to keep going, but I don't necessarily see it. I do think the Panthers are going to go home and win it. I just think it's tough to win in Boston, too.
Yeah.
Like, everyone says that, like, home court or home ice doesn't really matter. To me, I think it does. I'm a big... it's an advantage. It weighs probably 5% win factor towards the way of the home or the home side and away from the away side. And that's why I just think it is such an advantage to be at home. Shout out Dakota for being here and everyone else. We appreciate you. So let's go to the Tigers real quick because very confusing series as we talked about a second ago.
Yeah.
They lose 2 of 3. They score 13 runs in one game. They score 2 in the other 2 games, I think.
Yeah, I think they might have got shut out in the first game and then scored 1 run.
1 or 2 runs.
Yeah.
An absolute clown show. What are your thoughts on that?
This is the team they are. I mean, one time a week they're gonna flirt with you. They're gonna tell you they love you, and then the next day they're gonna get shut out by a guy like Blanco, who's a fine pitcher, but
nothing to be like Scooble or Flaherty level. We're talking it's B level starter right here.
Yeah, it's tough because you see what the problem is. The problem is the offense, but lately, it's been the bullpen a little bit and everything. It starts from up top. It starts from Chris Ilitch. It starts with Scott Harris. And that's a team we're going to get in the trade deadline in a little bit, but the Tigers are a team where it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to hog all these prospects, or are you going to let some go for a bat? It's tough. That was a tough series for the Tigers. Tough.
Yeah, and now they're going to have to go into Atlanta, who's not necessarily playing amazing baseball, but they are still one of the best teams in the MLB no matter what. Yeah. And they've lost 3 straight series. It's going downhill. They're kind of getting to a place where there's no coming back from. They're shooting down the rankings, the standings, I mean, and it's not a good look, and they don't look good doing it. And, me and Broder, shout out, he's in chat right now, on the morning show constantly go back and forth, as in our record is on the same trajectory as it was last year.
Yeah.
And Broder's like, well, there's more young players in here, so it looks better. Well, yes and no, in my opinion. It's a tough thing to sell when also Wenzel Perez hasn't had enough at-bats to be figured out yet. Justin Henry Loy looks like he's showing flashes, but yet again, they could adjust it what he has been doing. And it's a very tough road to live in to keep betting on unproven prospects. And what I've been trying to hone in on and let everyone think about is you can make moves to stabilize this lineup and to bring in more pieces. It's just a difficult thing to also have it fit into the long term. You can do it.
Yeah.
And I want them to, okay?
I do too. You want them to buy, you're saying?
Yeah, I want them to buy because we've talked about it. The MLB right now is so middle of the road for every team except the top 4 to 6 teams, arguably. But that's still 6 more playoff spots that are up for grabs.
And 3 of those teams are in the Central. Or 2 of those.
Exactly.
If you want to count the Twins, they're 6 games over 500. That's 3 teams in our division. We need to do something quick.
Yeah. And the Royals are young.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be playing against an established Royals team with nothing established for the next 5 years?
Yes.
Like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like another 10-year rebuild like we're dealing with right now.
Yeah. Do you think the Tigers right now, outside of Skubal, on the offensive side, do you think we have a cornerstone piece for our franchise? Would you call Riley Green?
Yes, I would count Riley Green as a cornerstone piece. Am I saying cornerstone 3-4 hitter? No. I'm saying cornerstone leadoff second hitter.
Yeah.
That's his role.
He's not like a Bobby Witt type cornerstone.
No.
He's
the level below. He's a very, very, very good player, and the players you need to win a championship. But he's not going to be that thumper, that bat that you need, like a Louis Robert, who I'd want us to go after, who has a year left on his deal after this year, and then 2 years of club option years at only $20 million.
Yeah,
that's a cheap price tag for someone who you can come in and put in the middle of your lineup and be like, all right, you own this 4 spot in our lineup, hit some home runs for us.
Yeah.
And that's something we don't have and we haven't had. Since Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, we're missing it. It's desperate.
Yeah, and the problem is with having a lot of young hitters in your lineup, with the Tigers especially, they don't have a veteran. Like, the young hitters don't have a veteran they can look at and be like, okay, this should be my approach at the plate. This is how I handle a 2-2 count in the bottom of the 8th. They don't have a hitter like that. Their veterans are Javi Baez.
Yeah.
And it's tough for a guy like Colt Keith to look at a guy like Javier Baez and be like, all right, that's a guy I could look up to at the plate and, kind of just grow with his help.
I think Canna is supposed to be that guy.
Yep.
And I think that's where we just don't have enough of them because there's not enough Mark Canna approaches going around the ball club right now. And that's why I say, and shout out Chase Amley for helping me on the morning show, the rising of the tide raises all the boats. And if you raise the level of the hitters, if you bring in 2 more Mark Cannas, I'm not necessarily saying that it has to be Louis Robert, but bring in some competent hitters who can hit 700 OPS easy, just off home run capacity.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of guys like that teams are going to be willing to deal because, like you just said, there's a lot of tweener teams right now. A team like St. Louis, a team like Chicago even. Chicago's a couple games under 500. Those teams might be selling. So you might get some pretty decent teams selling some pretty good pieces this year that you can get at the deadline for not that expensive. If we're talking Louis Robert, he might be a little expensive because, number one, he's a great player, one of the best outfielders in the league, but he's also in the division. So you got to think how many, we're definitely...
Well, all the White Sox biggest dealers right now, for them to get the highest loads, is to deal interdivision. Every team in the Central Division wants Louis Robert for them. Every single one. That is the most rumored teams. I have done so much reading on Louis Robert because this week I have a segment on Wake Up Woodward about how the 4 avenues in which this team could go. And I'll tell you what those avenues are previewed to be. So the first one is to sell out for the playoffs this year. And that doesn't mean sell the entire farm. I'm saying sell some small level pieces for some rentals.
Yeah.
You could do that, and you could go and try to win a playoff series. You could trade assets to make sure you have a better season next year, which you might have to do.
Yeah.
The trading Flaherty has to be in the conversation to a contender. There's not even it's not there. Sky Harris is shopping him. There's news that's come out about it. It's happening. and very well happen. There's no way we could just idle by, and if we're not even going to make the playoffs, and just waste the potential we could get in return for Flaherty, because you never know. He could always sign back.
Yeah.
And then we have number 3, make a move that helps this year's success and future success. And that my best move in that scenario is Louis Robert.
Yep, exactly.
And then, option 4, which is, the option I would jump off a bridge if that happened, hypothetically. Stay mediocre and ride it out and do nothing. That is the Tigers' way, right?
Yep, it is. The one thing I don't want them to do is that. I don't want them to, and I kind of said this about the Pistons trade deadline they had last year. I don't want them to not pick a direction. I don't want them to trade for a mediocre hitter.
The worst thing you can do is meddle in the middle.
You're either selling or you're buying. That's the position you're in.
Because in baseball, it goes up and it goes down, and you choose where you want to let it plateau, and where you let it plateau, that's where you can pick it up again. So you want to talk about being meddling in the middle. All right, you trade Flaherty, you dip a little bit, but you know what it does for the next couple of years. You bring in a prospect that probably can bring it back up. That's the name of the game in baseball. You flip everything. Everything needs to be flipped. Everything has value, especially when you get rid of the value when you should get rid of the value.
Yeah. This could be a tough question here, kind of controversial. Is Torkelson on your trade block if you're Scott Harris?
I feel like he has to be. You have to be exploring, because if you can get a veteran bat for him and one other relatively high prospect.
Yeah.
You got to think about it.
Yeah.
If you could trade Torque and you could trade, McGonigal, would you do that for Vladdy?
For Vlad, I don't know, especially because the spot we're in at shortstop.
You have to think about it.
Yeah, I definitely have to think about it.
I get the spot that you're in, but you got to think about it.
Maybe not a guy like McGonigal. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you flirt a Torkelson and Matt Manning, maybe, if they take that for Vladdy.
Yeah, but you gotta move the needle for them. You gotta be like.
That's true. That's tough. That's a good question. I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that just because the position we're at shortstop right now with Javier Baez.
No, it's valid, but
yeah.
I gotta ask you the tough questions.
Oh no, and I'm here for them.
And when you're dealing with opposing front offices, which this is where there's so many misses when there's talking about proposed trades, is they aren't just gonna give you a discount for the sake of giving you a discount. There's no discounts. They're gonna get the highest package that they can get with the most value. And when you're going for a star, there's a probably 7 out of 10 chance you're gonna overpay for him. They have the power. They have the proven asset. You're trading. You're pretty much selling them on hope and fairies and potential. It's a tough sell. You're not just gonna be able to just throw the garbage that you have in your prospect system and hope to get good returns from it. That's just not how the MLB works. You're giving up your premium assets to bring in an already proven premium asset.
Yeah, and it's different in the MLB than it is in the NBA and stuff, because in the NBA you see
there's draft picks too. There's
you
no
could
dealing
trade
in draft picks, and that's what really makes it such, because who are they to trust you to draft in your farm system?
Yeah, exactly. And there's no salary cap in the MLB. So, you see in the NBA, I can't really think of an example off the top of my head, but players that are getting paid a lot, they get salary dumped for, not so great players. They trade you a good player just so you take that contract, and their return isn't that crazy. That's not how it works in the MLB. To get a good player, you got to trade away good players.
Unless they have a short-term contract.
Yeah.
That it doesn't fit with whatever timeline the team that has it, then it leads you to a point where the Mets are in with one of my favorite players who I think would be such an interesting get. And I don't know if I want to tell you because it spoils my segment, but I kind of really do because it's so interesting. It's a reunion. I feel like you might be able to figure it out from there. But
reunion.
I want to go a known trade asset would be a reunion. But what would you think if we went after Danny Burgers? They just got DFA'd by the Blue Jays. I was thinking about that. I don't
know.
I didn't want to put out in the public forum, but I was so close to tweeting it.
Dude,
and I was like, bring Danny Burgers to Detroit.
Doesn't he feel like, okay, when he's not on your team, he's really awesome, but when he's on your team, like,
he probably
really
is
piss
like
you
that.
off. Like, when he, like, be like, God, like it's fun, like, this is friendly fire because I'm a big guy. He's a huge guy. Like, that's tough to be a baseball player when you're that big. And, like, just watching him play, like, it's funny, obviously, when you see him doing it for the Mets in Seattle. But, like, when he's on the Tigers and he can't make it to second, that would piss me off a little bit, so probably not. That's not a guy I would go after.
Well, yeah, and he has the worst OPS of his career. Still not remotely as bad as some of the Tigers, but
yeah.
At least he can hit some home runs. He only has one on the year, though. So
yeah, but he has the potential to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And the Moneyball ideal, which I hate the money. Honestly, I'm so sick of the Moneyball ideal.
I just watched a movie the other night, GOAT movie. Probably
no,
my
it's a
favorite
goated movie, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm just so sick of the ideal of, oh yeah, let's bring in a bunch of mid guys and hope that they're better than mid.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Mark
Like what
Canha.
comes down to. I mean, Mark Canha is great, and he's a 7-hitter on a championship team.
Yeah.
Like, or a 6 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Like. Mark Canha is not moving the needle on a championship contender as the guy. Like, let's get that straight. And you gotta have the guy, and that's why I'm saying, like, everyone hates, like, oh, Louis Robert will start our growth. Blah, blah, blah. How about no? How about he helps everything? Because when you someone who could take the pressure off Riley Green, think about how good Riley Green would be if he wasn't the center focus of our lineup.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about, like, Colt Keith, too. Like, if he didn't get the pitcher's best pitches, like, he'd be good. Like, he'd be a good player right now, but I think we could all be honest. I know he had two good games against Houston this series, but I think we can be honest. He hasn't been very good at the plate this year. But if you put veterans around him that can stabilize that lineup where he could hit sixth comfortably, he's a good player.
Yeah, and I guess the true underlying tone to this, and in the grand scheme of things, as we enter the trade deadline, we enter free agency next year, because I like, obviously how mid we are right now, I'm looking forward to that. I just wonder if there truly is there's obviously a knowledge to go after the Mark Canhas of the world, but to realize how much of it we need and how many pieces we need to fit in. Like, they obviously thought that this was enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it had to cross everyone's mind. And even my mind and your mind. Like, we both thought that they could have won the division this year.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, Neil brings up the best point, and it's, we were betting on a rookie parlay, which you can't do. You need to be betting on proven bats.
Yep.
And that's what the Royals did. Like, the Royals have some crafty vets.
Yes, I mean, Salvi is still raking, and I don't even know how old he is.
He's 34.
That's crazy, and he's still one of the better catchers in the league, offensively.
Would you try to slot Vogelback at DH or try to play him in the field at first if you signed him?
Can he play first?
I think he can.
I don't know. That's just like what I'm saying. Like, it would be so like, if he made an error, I would be screaming at the TV.
Hey, teach him first base. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Moneyball.
Yeah. Yep. But I don't know.
Picking machine.
That scene it was tough to watch because you could, like, dude, Chris Pratt is so good in that movie.
No, he is.
Because, like, you could tell, like, the whole time he's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if that's his actual baseball skill. Like, if he actually was like,
dude, he made a nice pick on the, like, that was real.
I mean, you stick it down there enough times, like, you'll get one eventually. But I wonder if, like, all the outtakes are, like, actually him, like, trying to scoop the ball.
Yeah.
That'd be so clown. But something that isn't clown is how tight this race is in the whole MLB. Yeah. And we're going to get into it real quick because I see, well, we were talking about it. There's like a perennial, top 5 teams, but then once you're below that, it kind of really drops off. Everyone's really meddling, and even the top teams are still a move away, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no complete team in the MLB right now. Anyone who's saying the Dodgers are a runaway, don't know ball.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Because they have issues, they have errors. Their bottom of their lineup's not hitting well right now.
They don't hit right-handed pitching good in general all season.
Yeah, and how can you win a World Series when you don't hit well against right-handed pitching? Like, that is what you see 75% of the time. And it's...
And Mookie just fractured his hand. So who
Yeah,
knows how long?
I just saw that a minute ago. Yeah, you're 100% right, which is another thing you got to work in. Drop who you think is going to make the biggest splash at the deadline and who you think is going to win the World Series in the chat right now. But let's get into it. So, if you were the Dodgers, what move are you making here? Like they probably need another bat.
Yeah, I mean, names that come to mind, obviously.
And a starting. Robert. They don't have a starting pitcher either. A dominant one, and like you can't bet on Walker Buehler to come back.
Yeah, no, you can't. And Bobby Miller, who knows when he's coming back? He's still on the 15-day IL. Sorry, Easy just threw me off a little bit there. But
shout out Easy.
Yeah, Yamamoto, I think he just got hurt. I could be 100% wrong though, so that's another spot you have to fill. And I don't hate the idea of them going after a shortstop and then moving Mookie back to right.
See, I do too. I think Mookie's a great shortstop, but he's a better outfielder.
Yeah, he was the best right fielder.
Arguably the best outfielder in the MLB.
And it almost felt like ignorant of them, kind of just. He's not terrible at shortstop.
Yeah,
but it was like ignorant of them. Like, yeah, he could do it all. He's going to be our everyday shortstop.
Well,
like, come on.
Let's bring it back to Detroit. I was seeing rumors that Javi Baez to the Dodgers.
Please,
just take him. You're for free. We'll pay half his salary. We'll give him the David Justice treatment. Get the hell out of here. We don't want you, please.
I would write a 10-page letter to whoever's running. I don't know the GM of the Dodgers off the top of my head, but I would write a 10-page letter on, can you just please take him? Like Javi Baez is ruining everybody's lives here in Detroit. Like, please take him.
And
we'll do anything.
It would be so Detroit for him to just start raking.
Oh my God, like be the World Series MVP. Yeah, that definitely would happen, but I don't care. I don't want to see him in the Old English D anymore.
Yeah, so Alan W. is hitting on two of the other teams that are the next two teams. So he says the Phillies, I think, is the one he said for the most splash on the deadline. And he said the Yankees look the best they have in years for the AL, but they'll find a way to lose.
For the Yankees, I have a guy in mind. They need like a corner outfielder. They need he can play a little bit second base. Go get Ryan McMahon from Colorado.
See, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, power hitter. I think he has an OPS over 800 this year.
Maybe the Tigers should go get him and play him at first.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, because if you look at the Dodgers right now, it's like Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu, as well. The Cabrera's kind of like platooning for them, playing third, second. Go get a bat like Ryan McMahon for the Yankees. You haven't made the World Series since 2009, and you're the New York Yankees. Go get and their pitching is not. I mean, Garrett Cole is pitching on Wednesday. He's coming back. Luis Gil, who's maybe
he's nasty. First in the Rookie of the Year voting currently.
Yeah. Rodon, who's had a comeback season. Clark Schmidt, who's coming off the IL. It might be a while, but he's coming back. I can't think of the other guys off the top of my head, but the Yankees got a good squad over there, and the Yankees fans should be excited. Unlike last year when they went like 82-80.
And they added some bullpen pieces, which is where they critically missed last year. And I would truly I hate the Yankees. Like that is my team.
Who likes
I despise. Like you put like there is very few teams that like I do not like more than the Yankees.
Yeah.
And that pissed me the hell off. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I want them to make a bad move at the deadline, but I don't think they will.
No, I think that they're gearing up for a run.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win the AL.
I
think they're going to win the AL, and I think the next team is the Phillies, and I think they're probably going to win the NL.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make a good move here. They're going to secure maybe a couple bullpen arms, and then they're pretty good around the infield.
Yeah, but I think they're
going to add a secondary bat, something just to get. Who's there? Isn't Castellanos not playing well right now?
He's heated up over these past couple weeks when they went on that run.
You know who I'd love to see them get?
Who?
Jock Peterson.
Yeah, he seems like a Philly. He definitely seems just hit against.
I think they'd win if they made a type of move like that and they brought in another bullpen piece. They would immediately jump to being my favorite.
Yeah, and I don't know the splits right now, but they could if Castellanos continues to struggle. You could do something where Jock hits against righties and then Castellanos only hits against lefties. You don't have to play Castellanos every day.
And when you have both of them on your team, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're willing to spend some dough.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of names in here who can actually swing the damn bat.
And we forget they've done all of this without Trey Turner, and he's coming back, and he's a pretty damn good player.
Good.
So he had so much of a lineup. But a guy I want to see the Phillies get, and we've said his name a million times already because there's so many interesting possibilities for him, is Luis Robert. I mean, you have a solidified
They're
center
not
fielder.
going to go. I don't feel like they're going to.
I don't know.
Think they're willing to go that long term with a player. I think they already have their core. They're paying so much. I mean, I could see it. Who's their GM?
Is it Dombrowski?
I feel like I wanted to say that, but I didn't.
I think it might be Dombrowski.
He would do it. He'd sell the farm. He'd sell his soul. He doesn't give a shit. Shout out Davey D.
Yep.
That's a good GM right there.
Yep. Go.
Spend the money. Doesn't matter what it costs. Let's just get a good winning ball club together.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to Scott and Illich, but we don't have guys like that right now, like Dombrowski. We don't have one.
So what do you think about Chase Amway throwing the Brewers into the mix?
I
think the Brewers are very solid. And how about them giving up Corbin Burns and netting a very good prospect? He is very good. Ortiz, I'm forgetting the first name, but he is killing it right now.
Yeah.
And one of those trades where it's a win-win for both situations.
Yeah.
And you're seeing them emerge, and they have to be a threat in the NL, especially if they make a move at the deadline.
Yeah, I definitely thought, like, going into the season, they were going to be one of the selling teams. Like, they would move on from, like, Willy Adames because he's a free agent next year. Like, but they're first in their division right now. And you have young players that are, I mean, Churio's going to be a great player. Ortiz is going to be a great player. I'm really interested to see what a team like that does. What position of need do you think, they go after?
The Brewers? I mean, definitely. I mean, you always need bullpen arms. So, I mean, I think if you heard it with me, the last thing I want to run into in the postseason is with a 5-point ERA guy coming in in a situation where I need a couple outs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd rather much. I don't know their current depth chart like that. I'd say. I want to say that they need corner outfielder for some reason.
Yeah, I
know Yelich is kind of emerging. And he's been playing really well, but I'm almost certain they need a little outfield.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't playing, but is Devin Williams out for the whole year? If so,
he's been struggling with the same thing that Kerry Carpenter's been struggling with.
His back.
Yeah, and that's one of the guys which I want to bring this up because I told everybody that like Kerry Carpenter, you need to be worried about Kerry Carpenter. Like that injury is a very scary injury because that's the injury that retired David Wright.
Yeah.
That's the injury that Devin Williams has not been able to recover from to this point in the season. Mm-hmm. And hitting is arguably more twisting than pitching.
Yeah.
So you have to really take that into account and how to really not be... It's scary. I'm scared. I can't lie. The last thing I do is us to rush him back, but we need him.
Yeah.
Like, we need him desperately. He is such a critical piece in this puzzle. As he's arguably more of a power threat than Riley Green. Yeah,
he was raking before he got hurt, and then kind of when we found out he was going on the IL, it was kind of like took breath out of this lineup. Like just everybody was like, "Are you kidding me?" Finally, he's starting because he's a streaky player, but that second streak he went on before he got hurt was like, okay, this could be for real. And then when he got hurt, it was like, "Are you kidding? Like, why can't we have anything good?" And I'm no doctor, but like just seeing everybody's reaction on Twitter and like when people are reporting like what his injury actually is, it doesn't look great. I don't know if we'll see him again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't either. And like that's the place where I'm like, all right, do we bring in someone else and try to go for it? Because you need to. Like if you're even gonna try, you got to do something. You got to supplement something. But if you don't, which is lame, you got to trade Flaherty. You got to trade Gio Urshela. You got to trade all of these 1-year rentals that could have use to anything you could net in return. Anything of value. Because what happens when? Because I'm gonna replace Gio Urshela with someone better this offseason.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Anyone who is not playing, anyone without an OPS over like 700, for me is getting out. Like I'm replacing you. So you know what, Carson Kelly, you need a backup catcher? Here, take Carson Kelly. Yeah. You need Jake Rogers? Here, take Jake Rogers. Like anyone who is not in my plans for the next like year, like you're getting sold. I'm giving them. I'm going for quarters on the dollar. I'm going for. I don't care. Anything that I can net because Gio Urshela, you can't tell me doesn't have value being a pinch hitter in a playoff team.
Yeah, and he plays a decent third base.
Yeah.
So, I think we could get selling decent back for him, but when it comes to Flaherty, like, he's the definition of like, okay, so if we trade him, we're selling, because if you go into a playoff series with Skubal, Reese Olson, and Flaherty, like there's not many teams that are going to beat that. But if you trade Flaherty, that's basically saying I don't know, I don't see us making the postseason this year. But the trade deadline isn't a month, so
we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we're gonna exactly. And like, let's say we go on a 10-game stretch where we go 8-2, and that puts us in the wild card or a game out of the wild card. Yeah,
but if we keep on this stretch of losing 2 out of 3 in every series, we're gonna sell. It's that simple. Yep. We will have a clear picture by July 30th whether we're gonna buy or we're gonna sell.
Yeah.
And it starts with this Braves series. The Braves, look, I'll keep it a buck with you. They're 3-7 in their last 11 or 10 games. Okay, you could win this series.
Yeah,
you could do it. It would be so tired for you to lose all these bummy teams and then beat the Braves. But you could do it. It's a matter if you are willing and you're consistent enough to get the job done, because we have seen no consistency from this team.
Yeah, and no Kenta Maeda this series, so that could help a lot.
Yes.
To see, no disrespect, Kenta, not very good. Yesterday, I mean, the numbers looked whatever, like, 5 hits, 4 runs. If you, like, watch Maeda pitch, he has no command, no velocity. His stuff isn't, like, his splitter's fine. But, like, that's a pitcher, like, what do you do with him? Because you signed him for 2 years. Like, you have to pay him $9 million next year, and nobody wants him. You can't trade him. Like, do you move him to the pen? I'm sorry to change the conversation so quick to, like, Maeda.
No,
that's
just, like, it just makes my head hurt because, like, obviously we signed him to a 2-year deal, and we didn't sign Flaherty to a 2-year deal, which, of course, we didn't. We swung and missed on that one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it has to be considered. Matt Manning's come up here. He showed you he can do a couple things, maybe regular starts. He starts really getting the groove of things.
Yeah.
But you never know. With these every once in a while type starts on the double headers, you're never truly going to know how Matt Manning's going to handle himself. Is it year 4, I believe? Yeah. Year 4 of him being a MLB starting pitcher. And you're going to see strides as we keep moving forward in this year if he has the start time and he works with Feder. And because I can't lie to you. I know Federer's better than what we got in Toledo.
Yeah,
Federer's making moves. Federer's really doing a good job. He's bringing a little life back to Casey Mize, who, I'm not saying he's looking as good as he did back in his rookie year, but he's showing some more flash, which I like to see. But it's just tough. I mean, it's definitely got to be considered throwing Maeda in the pen, because maybe Maeda can bring a little more velocity from the pen. Maybe you only have to rely on him from two innings.
Yeah, if that's the case, I mean, he should be throwing.
But you can't be wild and you can't have no velocity.
Yeah,
that is like the pitching death in baseball.
Yeah, like, dude, and just like his like body language on. I know he's a veteran, so obviously he knows way more than I do, and he's a professional. But like his body language, like after like throwing a floater up in the middle of the zone and it getting like smashed, he like can't believe it. He's like, how did that happen, dude? Okay, here's a question. I really didn't. They asked me this on.
And Alan W agrees with you. Call it batting. Move Maeda to the pen.
Yeah, I got asked this question on heavyweights, and it's kind of I didn't really know how to answer. What is your ceiling for Casey Mize? Like, not just this year, but for the rest of his career.
Being a 2-starter.
That's kind of what I said. I said kind of being a second ace for Tariq Skubal. I mean, this guy was drafted number 1 overall, right? Like,
and he's shown that he has elite stuff.
Yeah.
And shout out to Chase Amley. He went to a Phillies game in the 4th of July a few summers ago, and it was a fun park and a fun city. Citizens Park is one of the few baseball stadiums I have not been to. I've been to almost every single stadium. I have like 6 left.
Yeah, that's
and
sick.
I am so excited to go to Philly, actually. I have a Trey Turner USA jersey. I was at the World Baseball Classic when Trey Turner hit the grand slam.
Oh, no way.
With
dude,
my
that's
dad.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was absolutely electric.
Philly's got some of the best fans, dude. Like baseball-wise. Like, dude, it gets so loud in there. It's crazy.
It does.
It's crazy.
It reminds me of Detroit, because Detroit goes crazy when, like, we're actually good.
Yeah. And
it's for most cities, honestly. And it's not, lack of the fans. The fans just need to demand more than when you're bad. Like, that's my issue with the fans, is that we don't demand more when we should demand more.
Yeah.
And that's where like, with the people who are like, oh, let's keep trotting out Baez. Maybe he'll eventually, get hot. Like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what planet you're from.
And I don't want to hear anything about his defense. I don't care.
His advanced metrics blow.
Yeah, they're horrible. Like, and I don't care that he makes a couple diving plays. I would sacrifice 3 diving plays a month for a guy who has a better OPS than 417 or whatever it's at.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. And Chase asked me, what parks do you need to check off the list? So I will also ask you, how many parks have you been to, or are you just more of a couple?
Dude, honestly, I think I've only been to Comerica, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's some great ballparks out there.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is Atlanta. I
Is
love
that
Atlanta.
Is that PNC?
Truist
Oh,
Park.
Truist?
It's new. It's from 2019 or 2018, I believe. It's actually now my B team. They're my second favorite team because I fell in love with watching them play when I went there. So this is also a tough series for me. I kind of low key want to show up in my my Braves hat if we lose the series, just as a joke. But I know that would be perceived the wrong way. Yeah. See, Joseph Van also brings up a great point, and I'll go back into the ballpark things. But this is about the conversation about how the fans should demand more. What will they do? They already don't go to the games. Well, yeah. I mean, they just... I don't understand how that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is the owner not look out in the stadium and be like, oh, there's no one here. Like, let me do something about that. No. I'm just going to sit by, not spend any money, and watch my team be shit.
You got to spend money to make money, and somebody has to sit Illich down and tell him that. If it has to be me, I'll do it. If you guys send me over there to the Tigers front office, I'll do it, guys. I'll sacrifice the afternoon and have a nice conversation with them.
Dakota Mullet asks a very interesting question, and I guess I should hit on the ballparks first before I ask this another question. So the ones I haven't been to are Seattle, Colorado, LA, San Francisco, Oakland, and Philly.
Looks like you need to make yourself
and the Mets,
California trip.
And the Mets. I went to San Diego this year. I went to San Diego and Arizona this year. That was this year's trip.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I have 8 left. So I'm pretty close.
My dream probably is Fenway. How crazy was Fenway?
Fenway's dope.
Yeah.
I went when I was little, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. It's more the aura that comes out of it. It's not like the stadium. It's what the walls hold, you know.
Same as Wrigley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wrigley's crazy. I like Wrigley a lot. I went to watch the Braves play the Cubs last summer. Mm-hmm. The Braves smacked them. Won a $150 bet.
Nice.
Off $25.
Nice.
So that was pretty
always
hype.
Great.
Shout out Acuna and Olsen for hooking me up on that one. But yeah, so it's just that Wrigley's awesome. You definitely got to go to Wrigley.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Sweet.
Yeah. Out of the OG ballparks, it's a tough comparison between the two. I'd probably have to.
Oh no, I lied. I've been to Tropicana before. No disrespect to Tropicana. It has to be.
It's so mid.
It is, dude. It's like hot in there.
It's fine though.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, a ballpark's a ballpark. I mean, they're all unique in their own ways, but like, you know, like why do they have a roof? Like you're in Florida, and the roof is like not even high enough. Like you see guys like Aaron Judge, and actually the year I went was Aaron Judge's like 3rd game ever. I think he went 0 for, but yeah, I mean he was like, you see so many times these guys hitting the ball off the roof. Just get rid of it. Probably a good idea.
I did not sit in the Green Monster. I walked through it though.
Like through it in it?
Yeah.
What do you mean through it?
Like you can walk under it and stuff.
Oh, like they just let fans do that?
Yeah, it's part of the walkway, I think.
Oh, that's sick.
I mean, I might not be remembering correctly, but I'm almost positive. I mean, I was like, I might have went in it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I do a lot of tours and stuff. Like I like touring the stadiums too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt that. Like if I couldn't get in there as a fan, I got in there from like a tour or some shit.
Yeah. What I picture like the Green Monster being is like just like workers being in there and like maybe manually moving out. Like you know like when the score changes, they move like let's say the score's 1-0, they take the 0 out and put the 1 in. That's what I picture. That's what I picture when it.
Yeah, that is. I think that's like a nook in there.
Yeah.
Like a little nook. And Chase Emily said the Ballpark Village in St. Louis is a really cool atmosphere.
I've heard that.
Went to see Pujols and Molina before they retired. And yeah, no, I've been there. It's awesome. It's epic. The Braves also have a very similar one to that, where it's a baseball village. I love the Braves one. Is so cool. It was me and my dad went during the Stanley Cup Finals, and we were like eating. We were like the game was over, and my dad's like, oh, like found this. He like saw a cigar bar. He's like, hey, like we want to go into the cigar bar and like chill out. We chilled out, had a cigar, watched the Stanley Cup final. It was a great atmosphere. Yeah, and then I love Atlanta. That's a place I definitely recommend traveling. They have great food. Food's epic there.
Yeah.
They have Southern soul foods, amazing. Fried chicken was super good, and their ballpark food's amazing too. They have what's it called? What's that? Moonshine. They have moonshine cocktails in the stadium, and they are gas.
Is it moonshine illegal? Like, can you sell it now?
I don't know.
I thought it was illegal. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe there's ways around like every law.
That's true.
You should. I'm not gonna say what in vape stores, but if you ever walk into a vape store or just like actually pay attention, take a good look at every single thing in the store, you will be absolutely mesmerized at some of the stuff they sell in there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about too. I'm not gonna say it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, it blows my mind how they can sell some of the stuff in there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, and it's just like knockoffs of like, drugs. I'll just say it. Like, there's just like a lot of knockoff of like drugs. It's wild. Fun fact, I actually saw he was buying a gravity bong in Birmingham. It was a Piston. I'm not gonna say who it is. I'm not gonna air that out.
When it going into a vape store?
Yeah, he was coming out of a vape store buying. He bought a gravity bong. It was funny as shit.
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna air that out. Who it is, but
current Piston or like former?
Current.
Oh damn. I want to know what it is. You got to tell me after.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. But you can't be going out telling anybody because no, it was just funny. And shout out to him. No one put this anywhere. Don't
clip it.
Don't let anyone speculate because they'll get it wrong. They have no idea.
Yep.
It's off the table.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. We don't want to get any Pistons. They're already in bad enough shape. We don't need any of them getting in trouble, especially with that kind of stuff, that nonsense.
But yeah, it was hype. It was hype, and I didn't even say anything. I just saw him and just like was like, oh damn.
It seems like a situation like you don't even want to say anything to him because he doesn't want like a Pistons fan seeing him walk in there. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Buying that. I mean, I think they're allowed to smoke weed, aren't they?
Oh yeah, you're right. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, but
yeah. I mean,
I think they are. They have to be.
I mean, I probably just. Bro, I might have to private this episode. Maybe. They won't find it.
No. We're good.
I was actively, honestly trying to like not say that in air, but I completely forgot. Think twice, but right. Yeah, I'm not gonna air it out. But bro, you're funny, and I love you. I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow on Woo. I really can, but I just can't stop thinking about that now. You're talking about something, so I can What else you want to talk about? We got a couple more minutes.
I don't know. You want to talk? I mean, some Lions news. They signed Jake Bates. That's big.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Sorry, I've talked about it on like 2 separate shows already today.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I honestly see it's so hard for me because I forget what's new news and what's like. All right. Yeah. Jake Bates. How you feeling about that?
I like it. Next, Jason Hansen maybe put some competition there with Badgley. I like it. What do we sign him for? Like
shout out Michael Badgley. That's a boy. Me and him. I've met him a couple times. We held it down a couple times. He's actually a fan of Woolworth Sports.
Really? That's sweet.
So
shout out Badgley, Money Badger.
Yeah. Also, John Fox is also a boy.
Yeah, seems like a cool dude. Best punter in the league.
Yeah, he subs. Really? He subbed to the channel.
Really? Oh, damn. That's sweet. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever watches, but I do know he subbed. He showed me when we were at the Grand Prix. He told me Super Bowl or bust all the way. He said it feels like 2019 AFC, coming off the 2019 AFC Championship game when he was with the Chiefs the year before he won it. So that's how he says training camp feels this year.
Love to hear it. Love it. Let's do it. Best punter in the league. Shout out Jack.
Yep, it's LeBong. You're right, brother. LeBong James.
LeBong.
Or Chase. LeBong James. That's who it is. But yeah, that will wrap it up for YingYang Sports today. It was a great day. Hey, shout out to Caleb for stepping in. Plug your socials.
Twitter at Caleb Zarnik. CZARNIK.
10 times the followers I have, but he's still a homie.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, man. This was sweet. A great way, like I said, great way to start the week on this Monday. It's hot as hell outside, so everybody, stay cool.
Yeah, I'll make sure that you are in mind in terms of no Joel days, because this was awesome. I enjoy this. This channel is not getting enough baseball talk because I feel like can't talk enough about it with Joel because he's not a baseball guy. But I appreciate you coming on. Shout out Caleb. Shout out you guys. Thank you all for hanging out. We appreciate you all. Go tune into Heavyweights. Caleb will be on there. I'll be on there on Wednesday. So shout out, and we will catch you in the next time. Caleb, just give him a peace while I turn off the stream.
Peace out, fellas. Have a great week.